Tyrone from Australia, I believe. Hello, Tyrone. You are up first, sir.
Hey Bart, how are you?
How's it going?
I'm well, thanks. Thanks for having me.
Pretty good. So you're a first-time caller, right?
Yeah, that's correct.
So, and you're, what is it, about 5 a.m. there or something like that?
It is 5:12 a.m. Yeah.
5:12 a.m. So did you get up early or you pull in an all-nighter or what?
Actually, I played until like 3 a.m. today, so just took a quick nap and that's it.
Okay, so where are you playing out of here?
Yeah, so I'm playing out of the Star Gold Coast.
Okay, and what's the size of the game?
So this is a 2-5 optional 10, but the straddle's effectively always on.
All right, so 2-5 plus 10. And how deep are you guys?
We're playing 1100 effective. I'm the effective stack. Straddle is on as usual in this hand, so all the cash games are star 8-handed.
Okay.
So it starts by Under the Gun limping for 10.
Okay.
And the +1, who's the main villain in this hand, opens 50.
50.
Yeah, so 5x.
Okay.
And then folds around to the small blind who calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in the big blind with ace, queen of spades. So I decide to squeeze here and I just go 4x +1 for every caller. So 250.
Okay, so you go to 250. You're in the middle blind, right? Like in the middle blind?
Yeah.
Yeah, so limp 50 call, you go to 250. Okay.
And Under the Gun folds. +1, who's the main villain, calls. And small blind folds.
All right, so +1, the initial opener, right? Calls.
Yeah, that's correct.
So the pot is probably, what, 560-ish, something like that?
Yeah, I think it's 570.
All right, so you got ace, queen of spades, 3-bet pot out of position, and we're going to the flop. Okay.
Yeah, so the flop is the 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs, and 6 of clubs.
9 of clubs, 8 of clubs, 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs, 6 of clubs. So monotone?
Yep.
Yeah. And you've got ace, queen of spades.
Yeah, that's correct.
So not the best flop in the world here for you.
Yeah, not really. Yeah, I think I just decided to play range check on this board. So yeah, I decided to check.
Mhm.
And villain checks back here.
So +1 checks behind.
Yeah.
So the later so you got a situation here. I don't know if a UTG was a fish, but +1, fairly early position, ISOing a UTG limp. So that's a stronger open range than, say, like if someone like is opening from the cutoff or from the button in late position. The only reason why I bring that up is just because there's a little bit less of a volume of hands here from +1. His range is somewhat tighter pre. So if you have a wide open from late position and then a set of hands defends to your 3-bet sizing, you will see a fair number of suited hands like on a board like this because he's defending with, say, like half his range or whatever the mouth says. And if he was opening, like, say, 40% of his range, he gets to the flop with a lot of hands. Here, it's just a little bit tighter from up front. I don't know how many suited hands is necessarily going to be represented. I mean, he might even fold out some like of the worst suited broadways, like queen 10, king 10 suited that would never fold out from late position, and he's not really going to have suited connectors. I wouldn't think. I'm just, kind of playing by the theory. So it's just one of these things where it's not, I would say that I would be checking way more often, and I'm not saying to bet here with ace, queen of spades, but I would be checking way more often in a 3-bet pot against a late position open defend than like an early position open defend. I just thought that was worth something of note here. So 9-8-6, all clubs, hero checks, and +1 checks behind. Okay, so we're still at 570.
Yeah, that's correct.
Yep.
So yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing actually, that the range is like probably a little tighter here.
Yeah.
So I think I like got tunnel vision late in the hand, but we'll talk about that later. So yeah, the turn comes the ace of diamonds. So I turn top pair.
By the way, Nate says that betting small on monotone boards gets a tons of folds. And that's true here too. It's interesting to note because you just have ace queen, like how obviously you hit an ace now, which is good, but just going back to the flop real quick, it's interesting to note you have like one of the best ace highs, so you do have showdown value, but like say you had played a squeeze with like queen jack of hearts or something like that. Now that's a gut shot, but my point being is that you will have some 3-bets that don't contain pairs that aren't ace high that will get folds from better hands on low monotone boards. Like if you 3-bet with king jack of diamonds and you bet this board and the guy's got like ace queen no club, something like that, he's gonna fold out. So it's even sometimes in situations where you might even get more folds on 9-8 9-8-6 all clubs monotone, then you might on like 9-8-6 two flush in certain types of situations, just because the non-monotone holdings that your opponent might have, like the non-one like suit, like if they have none of the monotone, would just fold out. Whereas like on a two flush, they might not. It depends on what they hold. But anyways, 9-8-6 all clubs turns the ace of diamonds. So now you've got top pair. Okay.
Yeah, so in game, I was just thinking that my range is actually pretty tight here. So I decided to check ace queen just because I think I'd like want to check all my overpairs turned underpairs now, like kings, queens, jacks, tens, etc. That I didn't bet on the flop since I'm range checking. So I ended up deciding to check this combo. And villain decides to go B35, which is $200.
So +1 bets 200 here. The only thing I would say about that though is that if I'm V1 in this, if I'm your villain in +1 here, when you check flop and it goes check, check, and now you check turn, I don't know how often like I'm not taking a card. I feel like I'm only betting here with some, I don't know if I'm like starting a bluff here from +1's perspective all that often, because you 3-bet pre, you check the flop, now you check the turn. I mean, I suppose maybe you have some like red like Broadway give ups, I guess, but at some point you would think that those are worth like a small stab on turn anyways too. Like even if you had like king, queen of hearts here and you check the flop, you could still bet like 25-30% too on turn and get a lot of folds for the same reasons we talked about betting the flop. So when you go check, check, I don't expect to see a lot of folds if I'm +1 versus you. Just keep that in mind. Whether or not you want to bet here or not, I probably lean towards betting here. It does make sense. If you're checking your entire range on the flop and you've got some overpairs here, then you don't want to be, then you definitely have some checks right here on the turn.
Yeah, that was kind of like my thinking in game.
Yeah.
And why I decided to check.
Yeah. So, I mean, I would lean to, again, I don't know the quality strength of players. Usually when there are games like this in Australia and Europe at this level, they're much tougher. The competition is much better. We've talked about that than typical 2-5 US games, just because there isn't as many recreational players. I don't know if that's the case here in this particular hand.
I think in general, the pool is still pretty good.
Okay. Pretty good or tough or
Good in the sense that it's soft.
soft? Okay. Well, I mean, that's our bread and butter. Like I just lean towards more of a stylistic approach of just betting when I think I have the best hand to get called by worse, as opposed to playing either trappy or defensively or balanced or like overly balanced in a certain situation. Hero checks, 9 of clubs, 8 of clubs, 6 of clubs turns at ace of diamonds, and +1 bets 200. I assume you just call, right?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. So hero.
Obviously never folding.
Yep.
Don't think I'm playing raise here either.
Okay. So now the pot's 970 and you guys have what, about just 650 left or something like that in your stack?
Yeah, that's correct.
Okay.
So the river comes the 8 of spades. So pairs the board.
So final board 9-8-6 all clubs. Turns the ace of diamonds. River here is the 8 of spades. Hero here has ace queen of spades. I mean, I suppose if you're going to play it this way, then obviously you're going to check the river here. That would seem to make the most sense.
Yeah, agreed. I don't think I'm ever leading here on this river.
Yep.
I don't really have any 8x anyway. So I just check. And villain doesn't take too long. Just jams the rest in.
So all in for 650.
Yeah, that's correct. And
Before you tell us the result, let's take a look here in this particular spot. So the only thing that I would say here, just about sometimes, when you look at a situation like this, people think about, well, what single club would he have as a bluff? Because it's a tight configuration, he shouldn't have a whole lot of offsuit hands here. And the interesting thing about monotone boards where the ace appears is that he doesn't need to turn ace X of clubs into a bluff here, even if he, depending on, and usually the only hands he's going to have defending 3-bets pre-flop is going to be like ace jack, if that, plus on the offsuit. Even that's a little bit loose. So he doesn't need to turn like ace jack, the ace of clubs into a bluff. And then when you run down the line, what other hands does someone call a 5x 3-bet with from +1 that's offsuit? Like there's no offsuit hands that are called here that don't contain an ace, right? Like from +1. Like you shouldn't have king queen with a club. You shouldn't have like queen jack with a club, things like that. So if he doesn't have those hands, now I'm not saying that he just bluffs with those hands. Like he could have something like queen jack of hearts, queen jack of diamonds. But I just want to make that point that it's interesting when a monotone board comes out and then the ace comes out. If the configuration pre-flop is the only offsuit holdings that someone's going to have is going to contain ace X, you're not going to see a club bluff, a single club bluff here in this particular spot. If he had a hand like sevens here or fives or something like that, like towards sort of the bottom part of a single paired range, now obviously there's no flop bet. I kind of feel like if I'm him and I do choose to bet the turn and you call, I don't know if sevens actually has the showdown value here, because what are you calling the turn with that sevens beat? You would have to have like an offsuit, like single club hand, like king queen off that plays this as like a check call and then check call turn. It doesn't. So you might come up with some hands that he actually has pairs here that feel like they need to bluff, or just feel like he needs to get you off a hand if you think that, say, like, you know, you've got like jacks, queens, something like that. I kind of go back to what I was feeling about, like if I was +1, where I wouldn't expect you to do a whole lot of folding here on the turn. I don't know. What did you think about the whole spot?
Yeah, so I was kind of thinking the same thing in the sense that there's not that many offsuit combos here, just because the config's pretty tight in the first place. And I was talking earlier about like tunnel visioning in onto like certain parts of the range. And that's because I was like really in my head, like thinking, oh, he probably has to turn hands like tens, jacks, etc., with a club into a bluff here.
Tens, so I was talking about sevens. You think that like tens or jacks get turned into a bluff here some of the time?
I was thinking that he doesn't actually have many sevens here at all.
Right. Oh, it's just the tight configuration. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just interesting because like if he's going to bet here, jacks or tens into a bluff, I mean, typically, you know, you tell me like this is straight out of small stakes exploits, crush live poker. Usually people at this level in a softer game, they don't know, they take a lot of showdowns with hands that actually don't have showdown value. Like they under bluff in situations where they're supposed to turn their hands into bluffs, I think is a pretty big true exploit in a given situation, which kind of leads us into another exploit in certain situations where if you think your opponent had a draw and that draw paired up, if he's still betting at the end, it's very problematic because he would just take a showdown. In typical 2-5 games, it would take a pretty decent player, and even at the pool locally that I play at, to like recognize that tens or jacks might need to be turned into a bluff here. And of course, he would have to check back the flop, not bet the flop, and you know, rightly recognize that here on the turn. Now, with that being said, you know, what is he checking back on the flop here? You would think that most fairly strong hands would want to make a bet. Let me ask you one specific question though, where you could be in real trouble here, Tyrone, is what about ace king?
If he has ace king, then so be it. Like
No, like I'm just trying to put myself in the spot. So like if I have ace king here and I'm your opponent and I call with ace king off, whether I have a club or not, but let's just say I do a lot of checking back on the flop, right? Maybe I do check sometimes with ace king off with the ace or king of clubs, but even if I just have ace king off, like no club, I don't really see what stops me from like taking this line for value. If I'm your +1, like your villain, like I'm checking back the flop, or of the ace king that I check back, like you check turn, I'm gonna bet. Now the river, nothing's gonna stop me from making this bet. That's the only thing. So you could actually get value towned here by ace king here some of the time. So I mean, you're looking. There's a little bit of that. Obviously, it's 15. You know, it's right around 1,700, 650 for you to call, or what is it? 1,600, 1,620, 650 for you to call. So you're getting what, like about 2.5 to 1. It's kind of interesting. It's an interesting spot that's probably a little bit under bluff, just again because people don't turn enough hands into bluffs, and he's gonna have to really kind of have an airball bluff in this particular spot. But it sounds to me you're looking curious here.
Yeah, so I end up thinking that he really doesn't have that many flushes here, just given how tight the config is, and that he checked back flop when he's probably betting some of them on the flop as well. So I do end up deciding to call, and part of that was like Star has like membership cards
Yeah.
of different tiers,
Mhm.
and this guy had a gold gold membership card.
Does that mean he's a big gambler?
Yeah.
Yeah, hey.
So I was wondering, would that factor into your decision at all?
Well, I mean, here's the thing, right? Like, so there's different types of like gigantic whales. Like, I know guys, when we talk about a whale, if people don't know what that means, it means like, somebody who splashed. Well, it means somebody who likes to gamble a lot. Just because somebody is a whale or they gamble a lot, like in the pits, they play slots, they play video poker, doesn't mean that they're a maniacal person at the poker tournament, at the poker table. They could be a gigantic loser, but they could be a passive whale. I mean, the most ideal type of person that you want to play against at a poker table is a live passive whale that just like limp calls and check calls everything and like plays every single hand, right? So there are guys that are gigantic losing players and that are whales that I would fold to here at the end because they're just so loose passive. Like whenever they put money in, they just have it. The reason why they're such a big losing players is just because they just call down far too much, right? So yeah, I would say you want to use all the material that you have available. What that would tell me if he has a gold card is if he has a gold card, the chances that he's a winning poker player are probably slim. But it doesn't necessarily mean that he's we know necessarily about this spot. What it would probably tell me is that Ace King wouldn't go for value if it didn't 4-bet pre. And it might tell me that he might actually have an offsuit hand here with a club in it that he shouldn't. He might be looser, I think is what I would say here is he's probably much looser as a +1 defend. So however you want to take that information that he will be looser in this spot from +1 than typical, I think is what my answer to that would be.
I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
I think I maybe slightly leveled myself into making the call. So I do end up calling and villain shows me 7-5 clubs with a flop straight flush.
Wow. Well, that's much looser than he's supposed to be in there, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, so from +1, okay, whatever, he flopped the straight flush. But from +1, if he's got 7-5 of clubs, what else does that mean? That means that he's going to have other types of suited connectors, although it's not like there's that many suited connectors, right? Because the 9-8-6 is out there. But maybe it means that he's got some other like flushes that like he's definitely going to have king 10 of clubs, queen 10 of clubs. If he opens the small pairs, he's going to have all the sets. Would it mean like he has a hand like, I mean, if a guy's going to defend with 7-5 of clubs from +1, don't you think he's going to defend with like king queen off from +1? Can we extrapolate out from that?
Yeah, 100%. Like he's probably defending too much.
Yeah, I think you need to like, that's what you, and I don't know the answer. I think what you would need to like kind of put in the spot would be, all right, he's way wider than he should be pre. Now let's figure out how that affects the actual hand post. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's always going to be call or fold, but it might make it more of a late position type thing like we talked about in the beginning of the call, like late position open defend. But I appreciate the call. Thank you very much.